I'm here today to talk about my grandparents and their immigration to the United States. My mother's parents came to the United States in the late 1890s. Actually, my grandfather came in the late 1890s. I know this because in the 1900 census, he was living on Norfolk Street in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. So he came from Russia through Ellis Island and lived with his father and his brothers in a tenement building on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Later on, he brought my grandmother, and I know that happened in the very early parts of the 20th century because my eldest aunt was born in 1903, I believe it is. So he brought over his wife, his bride, from Russia. Turns out they were first cousins, but that's how he knew her, and in those days that's the way things happened. So they lived in the Lower East Side of Manhattan while well, actually my mother was born in Brooklyn, so they moved to Brooklyn sometime between 1903 and 1914. And then sometime between 1914 and 1920, they moved to New Jersey, to Cranberry Neck, New Jersey, and my grandfather ran a farm there. He raised chickens and had farm animals. And the children grew up tending to the chickens, tending to the animals, and also going to school in nearby Princeton, New Jersey. My father's parents, I'm not sure when they came over, but they did come from a different part of Russia, and a city called Odessa. And when they came over, they settled in Pittsburgh first and then in Harrisburg, and my father was born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And they moved to Long Island sometime in the teens, the 1900 teens. And my father grew up and went to high school there, went to college in Manhattan, and he met my mother while he was working for the Red Cross. So their families lived fairly close together. My mother worked as a nurse, he was teaching first aid. It seemed to be a match that went well. So the whole family came over. My father's parents were from Odessa, as I said. My mother's parents came from a city in Russia called Bialystok, which is right on the Polish border, and depending on who had conquered them recently, they flew either the Polish or the Russian flag. So that's the story of how my grandparents got here.